Number 9, public comment on items not on this agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and/or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. I have some speaker cards here. Let me see where we are here. Yeah. Oh, pardon. Okay. I have a number of speaker cards here, but Carolyn, no, that's all right. You're up there. Go. Go ahead. Just tell us your name and your street.
I'm sorry. I should know better, but I haven't been down there
That's
in a
right.
while.
Pull that microphone down just a little bit. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, Carolyn Livingood, Sherrill Drive. Last meeting, I brought up a couple of items that had nothing to do with the dumping, and one was the newspaper racks, and the other was double parking on San Mateo Avenue, particularly in the 400 block. And I'm wondering if that's going to be addressed along the way. And the other thing that I sort of felt like you were getting a lot of complaints last meeting. However, they were all welcome in my mind. But one I'd like to add on, for the most of my careers, I have traveled San Mateo County, particularly the last 20 years. And one thing I've noticed that's really a problem is how many houses don't have a lit house number or even a house number. People give me the answer, well, it's on the curb. Well, that sounds good, but if somebody's parked at your curb, or it erases off because somebody scrapes the curb, you can't find the house. And I had the experience recently, it's not just in our city, but I bring these problems to us because I'd like to see our city be better than others. And that's, I think, something should be done about that, something mandatory if possible. I don't know how the law is on it, or some form of education that people get those house numbers up there. And I would like a response on the newspaper racks and on the double parking. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we have Robert Riegel.
Robert Rico, 7th Avenue. Just a couple of thank yous following up on your presentation. The other day when I was out driving around, I saw the city street people out picking up cardboard boxes that somebody had dumped up the street. So I saw it. I want to say thank you to the city, and I don't know which one of the two gentlemen were involved. More importantly, on Sunday during the heavy rain, while I was out driving around and looking to see how much water was around, in front of St. Robert's Church, I saw the police car there with blinking lights on, and I thought, oh, let's go see what's going on over there. An unidentified police officer was down on his hands and knees cleaning the tree and leaf stuff out of the storm drain that was backing up the water. So I'm sure that's not in his what he should be doing, but he went above and beyond, and I just thought that unidentified person should be recognized, because that's part of what helps make our city with a heart. So thank you twice to the city.
Next speaker, I want to see if I have this right. Joe on Linden Avenue? No. Oh, okay. That's citywide issues, right.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to speak. So many of us who live in San Bruno like it here and feel that there are lots of missed opportunities in terms of the city growing and keeping pace, I think, with other cities in the neighborhood. So often I know when there are problems, friends have told me that the city, when they respond to the city tells them right off the top what they can't do. And I think we have to start focusing on what we can do. I want to see San Bruno grow and develop in a way that it hasn't for a long time. And it's kind of stuck in the past, and I know that the council has viewpoints on certain things, but I would like to really see the city make a positive change that would bring a different kind of, I don't know, just different vendors and shops to our city, and instill some pride. I live on Linden Avenue at the corner of Linden and Santa Lucia, right behind the Beckner Mansion. And our home is very old and historic. It's a nice place to live. We enjoy it, but we're really always driving on streets that are congested. We can do some simple things to make it a better place, and I just don't see those things happening. And it's really disheartening when we hear from the east side and all of the trash and the broken lights and just the things that should be maintained don't seem to be maintained. And it would be a different environment, a better environment, and I hope that we can have that. So that is our plea, my plea.
All right, thank you. Just for some information today, I was very fortunate to give a State of the City address at Skyline College of the Chamber of Commerce, and that will be replayed on our channel, Cable Channel 1, I think on the YouTube also. So I'd like you to see that because it does tell you about an awful lot of things that are going on that you probably can't see and things that are really happening all over. Yeah, I just said about the State of the City address today. I think it would be good to review that when you see it on Cable 1. It'll tell you a lot of things that you were talking about here. Next speaker, Scott Newiger.
Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Newiger. I'm on Linden Avenue, and well, not right now, but I live there. And I would like to say that tonight I would like to talk about a couple of things. Number one, campers and motorhomes that are either parked on the street or parked in the front yard of someone's home. That makes a nice home look like they're sitting next to a recreational vehicle parking lot. I think it brings the value of the properties down. It doesn't look good. I've heard people renting out their homes, their motor homes and things on Airbnb and stuff like that. And I don't think that's a good thing to allow to happen. That's number one. Number two, I would like to bring up, like everybody else has, parking, but my point tonight is to realize the relationship to the El Camino Real and the streets that are directly adjacent to it. One or two streets on each side of it, east and west. Parking is the worst there probably, with all the other conditions that we're talking about, maybe not, but I feel they are. And one of the problems is the fact that we don't have permits, number one, for certain, like San Francisco has permits for certain areas of the city. Residents that live there should have permits to be able to park on their street. And I think that the city needs to mark the parking spaces the best they can to make sure the most cars can fit in the places that are there now. Because right now, too many times one car is taking two spots. And there's not enough to start with, so that's got to stop. And I've noticed that people park on their lawns, and as comforting as that might sound, it doesn't look good, and it's really not San Bruno-ish, if I may use that word. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say tonight.
Thank you. Next speaker is Reina Burgos. Hope I said that right.
Good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. And I wrote my piece of paper to basically address the issue that Connie actually the presentation of the dumping. And I want to thank you so much for basically take the what's the word? The approach very aggressively to address the issue, because I live in Florida, and I just probably want to give it an update on graffiti and how the hotline will help. When we first moved into Florida, across the street from 324, where it's going to be a park, we moved in. It used to be a hangout for a lot of people, young people and gang members, if I may say that. There were graffiti everywhere, everywhere. And it has taken almost 3 years. And now there's no graffiti because people every time will report it, they will come immediately to remove it. So that is very nice, and I want to thank you for that. So now it's like people don't hang out anymore. It's really nice to have the neighbors, and it's my husband and I who basically had to put cameras there, and they knew that they were, directly to the house. I mean, and they knew probably that it was us, and we will call the police. And I want to thank you to the police department as well, that how they will come over and patrol the area. So thank you so much, and I'm not complaining. I'm actually thank you to everyone, okay, involved.
All right, thank you. Next speaker is Tim on Florida.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk about the street conditions in the city, especially in East San Bruno, where I live, in Florida Avenue, and Huntington Avenue, San Antonio Avenue. I know there's a plan to better the streets, but also I'd like to talk about possibly making it safer in some neighborhoods and around schools and parks, maybe put some speed bumps, consider that. Because I see people speeding over in Bel Air School, and the guys that hang out at the community garden. I don't think it's a place for, that they're gardening over there actually either. But anyway, that's another issue. But they come speeding around that corner through the school, and I'd like to see some speed bumps there to be considered. And when the new park in Florida goes in as well, I'd like to see speed bumps considered for that area, because people like to speed around there, and just, like I said before, they don't know that they're in a neighborhood. And there's kids, there's families, there's animals, and I think it would be a good consideration to put speed bumps to slow the traffic down, and just to have people realize where they're at. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. The next speaker, Calista Shepard.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, and thank you. I was actually at your mayor's address to the city, or whatever it's called. I really liked it. I encourage everybody who hasn't had the opportunity or who wasn't there in person to take a look at it if it's on our YouTube channel. It's impressive. I'm very excited about San Bruno. I'm with a group of neighbors who still take an issue about a certain project. We'll get to that later. But actually, I have a question, and I've asked a number of our neighbors. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Callista. I live in Poplar. I don't know if I said that. I've asked a number of neighbors, and I've asked other people in the city, and I'm not sure there's an answer to this yet. I am wondering if San Bruno has made the decision about, I know a number of the council members, your service term is coming to an end. I can't even remember which council members. But we were slated to be having a vote in 2017, but I'm wondering if it's going to be lining up now with the, maybe San Bruno residents know this or not, but there was a resolution a new law signed by our governor, State Bill number 415, known as the California Voter Participation Rights Act. And the intent, of course, is to increase voter participation in local elections. So I'm just wondering who's making this decision? When is the decision going to be made?
The council will make the decision, but I'll give you to the city manager. She probably knows the agenda it's going to be on.
Yeah, that would be great. It'd be great to know how soon.
So I can just
that would
answer that right now, if
Sure.
at the mayor's pleasure. The legislation that you're referring to requires cities, certain cities, ours being one of them, who have an odd year election cycle for their municipal elections, to develop a plan to move to an even year cycle by January 1st of 2018. Our city council conducted a study session in November on this topic, and you're correct, many other cities in our region and elsewhere in the state have already made decisions. So this is something that is much more timely than a year from now. At this study session in November, the City Council discussed a number of issues and gave direction to staff to return this item to the City Council for further consideration at the first of the year. That item is currently scheduled to be in front of our City Council on January 24th, which is our next regular City Council meeting for discussion, and if it is the City Council's pleasure, action on that item.
Okay, great. So we'll know sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic, and I just want to say I'm in favor of it, because I think it would be great if we would true up with the state and have it on the even year. I realize that obligates a number of you to serve longer, but it would be nice to have an answer to this. So we will know who we'll have the pleasure of working with for the next year, couple of years. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I know Steve Seymour had the same question. Did you get it answered, Steve? Oh, SB 415 is. Go ahead.
And I do have a limited number of the options that the city's looking at. If you want to pass them around, you can take it home with you for list them. Last time you had us wait in queue, and this time I actually prepared a speech, if I can get to it. Sorry for the delay. Okay. Okay. Mayor Ruane, during the December 13, 2016 council meeting, I asked the council to place our dumping and parking crisis on the next meeting's agenda for public discussion. During this meeting, you expressed your personal concern for the challenges we face on the flats and east of San Bruno. I want to sincerely thank you for addressing the dumping issues. I reached out to the council in several emails asking to be part of the public meetings, but I didn't receive a response at this time. So I do know that I will get one. Since the December meeting, I can see you're addressing the dumping epidemic, but I question why it took a room full of people all expressing their concerns to get the city to act on this issue when anyone could have seen the disgraceful state of our downtown. City Hall is just a block away. Why was the dumping allowed to litter our streets for so long? And I heard that it was over a period of a few months, but it wasn't. It's been much longer. Since the December meeting, the San Bruno Police Department has begun to ticket vehicles for blocking sidewalks. While I agree that our sidewalks should not be blocked, the end result will be more cars on already overcrowded streets. Why hasn't the city begun the process to find a solution for our lack of parking? Why does the city continue to issue building permits and waive the on-site parking requirements? Why has the city put reporting app, well, I now know that the app you're looking for, I appreciate, Irene, your information on that. During the last decade, we have seen our streets degrade, our downtown degrade, and our city avoid the tough job of finding a solution to our parking crisis. All of these issues affect the health of our city, San Bruno. I have reviewed this year's city budget, and you have not budgeted nearly enough to fix our degrading streets. It would take $10 million a year, these are my estimates, to address the streets. Many of us wonder why we would spend $70 million on a couple of buildings while neglecting our failing streets and downtown. Our downtown should be treated as the heart of San Bruno. I think the city would see wide support for spending this on improving one or two of the building sites recommended and spend the remainder of on some of the streets in the worst repair. I believe it makes me question whether or not the council has the will and passion and shared vision it will take to address these issues. It will take a council who works on behalf of the electorate, one who values input from their residents, one who actively listens, one who puts aside their personal wishes for those of our greater city. Without this, we will not see solutions anytime soon. It's time to change the dynamics of our city council. Opportunity exists this November, but only if you choose not to extend your own terms without the explicit approval of the electorate. This is not the only solution to being compliant with SB 415. This is a decision that the voters should make, not the majority of the city council.
Okay, Steve, you got to wrap it up.
If you strip, I thought you might do that in the middle of something that is important as this. If you strip our vote and the ability to be part of the democratic process, I believe you will effectively put the future of San Bruno on hold. One cannot put a price tag on democracy. This should not become a decision made for budgetary reasons. San Bruno residents should go to the polls in November and vote for the candidates of their choice. We cannot continue to watch our streets, our downtown, and our parking problems continue to worsen. A decision to postpone the solution to these problems will cost the residents of San Bruno far more than the election costs. You should weigh the repercussions of taking our vote away from us in November. If you care strongly about our democracy and the fight our forefathers waged to ensure all Americans have the right to vote, I believe you will make the right decision. Think about what the country would look like
You really have to wrap it
if
up,
our
Steve.
president, think about what this country would look like if our president extended his term 1 year to save money.
Thank you.
Respectfully, Stephen Seymour.
Thank you. The last speaker is Ryan Mersney.
Ryan Mersney, Keynes Avenue. I have a safety concern involving PG&E trucks being parked in front of their employees' homes. I have contacted PG&E and have yet to receive a response as of this evening. I fully understand and appreciate the need for the trucks to be with the workers so that emergencies can be more quickly resolved. Though San Bruno has had issues with PG&E, I have had many years of uninterrupted gas and electric service, and for that I am grateful. And I understand part of that reason is that they've been able to park their trucks in front of their homes so that they can attend to an emergency very quickly. Unfortunately, our streets are narrow, and the PG&E truck parked on Keynes is not the best solution. I am sure that there are other situations similar to that around San Bruno. The driver is safe, and he puts the traffic cone out every day and does everything he can to be safe. My concern is more for others, as I know to look out for the truck. I see cars going westbound on the 1,000 and 1,100 block of Keynes come over the hill and are suddenly confronted by this large vehicle. It's a heavily traveled part of Keynes. I've seen several near accidents. Neighbors of mine have expressed the same concerns. I've seen other large work vehicles parked in front of other residents throughout the city for they're not there to do work, they're parked as part of some plan. I would like PG&E the city to come up with a plan that keeps the trucks nearby, but in our area so that the workers can access them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. My question is, can space be found at, say, the City Hall employee parking lot or for the Mills Park area? Could the city encourage the owners of the parking lot at the corner of Camino Plaza and San Bruno Avenue to find space? I suspect there's an easy solution to this. And I know that of this one particular truck, but I'm sure they're around town, more of them. So for each neighborhood, maybe we could find a designated area where they're kind of out of the way, but the worker can access them quickly. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.